All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Money Matters. If you are watching, do drop a hello in the comment. And once again, welcome to episode 13 of Money Matters. So, my name is Madhura. I'm your host for the show. In Money Matters, we aim to bring you consistent and valuable content so that we can inspire you and empower you to start taking charge of your money matters, basically. So, in our episodes, we have a variety of content. Episodes like today, we will be covering more technical topics on how, such as today's one is how do we do budgeting and all of that. So, some episodes we will be covering that. But personally, I'm a big fan of listening to people's experiences. So, most of our episodes will actually feature guest speakers where we'll be learning from their own personal experiences in terms of how they handle their personal finances as well as their business. So, I hope that by sharing my experiences as well as the experiences of our guest speakers, you guys will be inspired and you will be able to learn something so that you can improve on your personal finances as well. So, thank you so much once again for joining us today. So, if you're there, do drop a hello in the comment. I can see you guys watching. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Keep it going. And it will be really, really helpful if you guys can share this stream to your friends and family. So do share it in your social media so that we can reach out to the people who really need this. Because I think personal finance is something that everyone needs to work on. So by sharing this link, you are helping other people to also start taking charge of this aspect of their lives. So Money Matters is not a one-man show. It is an effort that is taken by a lot of different people. So I would just like to give a shout out to all the people. Organizations that has made Money Matters possible in a way which is simply empowering, as well as ET Ideas, PMDK, ET Boost, and Ascendance. So thank you so much to all of my partners for making this happen, and I'm very very excited for today. So today's topic is kick the budget. I know it's a very strong topic. Personally, I am somebody who used to hate the word budget. So if you are somebody who hated the word budget and that is why you're tuning in, do let me know in the comments. I am watching your comments, guys, so I can see Dila's watching, Steven, Johnny. I have no idea. Probably this is Johnny from high school. Hello. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, budget. So I want to explain to you guys what was my perception towards budget, right? So I hated budget. For somebody who is in the accounting field, I hated it. And for the longest time, I was tracking my finances. So previously in episode 10, I was sharing about how I was very enthusiastic about tracking my finances using mobile apps to do that. But budget is one area I just ignored completely. I just thought, who needs budget? I know where my money goes, that's good enough. And I was kind of scared of it, to be honest, because it seems so strict. Like, if you have a budget, you must spend within that, and if you go anything above, you have failed in life and you're a you're a failure. So because of those kind of that perception, I was very very scared of budget and I just ignored it for a long time. I think the only time I really started looking into what is budget, why do I need a budget, and how does it apply to my life, does it actually make my life better or does it make it worse, is when I was in a tight financial situation. So when my income dropped a bit and I did not have the liberty to just spend on whatever I felt like spending on, then I realized, oh, okay, so now I have to decide what I want to do with my money and make sure I have enough for my needs. That is the moment I actually started taking budget seriously. Before that, nobody cared. I just spent on whatever I felt like spending on, and I'm sure many of you are also on the same boat as me. And so what we are going to do today in today's session, first of all, is to address our perception towards budgets. And I know my perception was like this, right? It's scary, it's restrictive, and all of that. So what I thought of doing is to get a bunch of my friends and let them share their experiences or perception or opinions on what they think about budgets. So if you're watching right now, I want you to do exactly the same. While this video plays out, do share your opinion on this. Do you love budgets or do you hate budgets? And no matter what you are voting for, why so? So if you love budgets, why do you love them? And if you hate budgets, why do you hate them? Just share them in the comments. It's so nice to have everyone's opinion out there, because then it really gets you to see different perspectives and understand this thing really better. So what I'm going to do now is going to play the short clip. So do enjoy it, guys. Ding, ding, ding. Just give me a minute. I am one of the things that I definitely struggle with is my inability to share videos properly. So enjoy the video, guys.
So I love the budget because it helped me to see where my money is going most of the time and help me to save my money. And I hate the budget at the same time because it restricts me from spending the money on the things that I want and also when I go party with my friends. So, yep.
I'm less reactive when I budget because we can know whether how much you are spending each month. So I'm only react, which means triggers my emotion when when my budget exceeds. Until then, I'll be super cool, super calm. So in that way, I prefer budget. If I don't have budget, I will be reacting all the time. It triggers my emotion all the time because I don't know how much I'm spending each time I spend my money. So for me, it works very well, and I like budget.
Because I get to see which one is important and which is not important to spend money on, and it also makes me a bit rational when I'm spending money.
I hate budget because I need to be responsible for it.
Okay, the thing that I don't like about budgeting the most is it's a lot of work. You must sit down, you must plan out your finances, you must make sure you got enough money for this, enough money for that. And sometimes I'm just a bit too lazy to do that. So I think that's the one thing that I really don't like about budgeting.
I hate budgeting because I feel demotivated when the amount reduces or sometimes even panic. So that's why I hate budgeting. I like budget because it helps me to keep track of my finances so that I don't go and overspend on things that is unnecessary.
And so one reason why I like budgeting is my mind won't trick me and I won't get panic. Like sometimes budgeting helps me like showing that I have enough money, and so I won't spend too much. So that's one reason.
All right, so that was the opinions of some of my friends that I got together to share whether they love budgets or hate budgets. It is so random, right? Like there's so many different opinions. There are people who are like, oh, it's too much work, I'm lazy to do it. And then there are people who are like, oh, it helps me to keep track, so I love it. And then there's also another group of people, it helps me to keep track, so I hate it. So there's always many different perceptions toward budget. So if you guys are watching, do let me know what you guys think about it as well, because it is really interesting to see how we all have many different perceptions towards budgeting. And I feel like perception is the first thing we need to address when it comes to anything in our lives, and which is why this is the first thing I'm addressing as well. Why am I addressing this? Is because I feel like if we do not understand something, there's a higher chances of us having fear towards it. So one of the main reasons I was very scared, or I thought budget was a boring or scary thing, is because I never really understood what it did. It was a thing that was taught, but that was it. I never understood what was the role, and I never understood my perceptions towards it. So because of that, there's a lot of fear. I think a quote that really explains this really well is Elon Musk quote, right? The man of the hour. He's very, especially now, he is literally on every headline I see. He shared about, when I was a little kid, I was really scared of the dark, but then I came to understand dark just means the absence of photons in the visible wavelength, 400 to 700 nanometers. Then I thought, well, it's really silly to be afraid of a lack of photons. Then I wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. So basically, just by understanding what was happening, we will be able to overcome our fear. And I think that is the what I'm trying to get here as well. So if you are somebody who's scared of budgets, the first step you need to take is understand what this tool does. Until we understand, nothing much is going to make progress, and there's absolutely no point in you implementing this tool if you have not gotten an understanding of it. And again, the other thing is this, right? It's the same tool, it's how we view it that makes a difference. So we had people who said, oh, it shows, it doesn't allow me to spend on things that I like. But there were also people who said, oh, it ensures that I spend on the things that are important. So it is the same function. It kind of controls where you spend the money, but you can choose to view it in a way as a restrictive and torturous thing that you can have, or you can view it as a way that view it as a tool that helps you to stay focused. So perception is absolutely important. So I just urge you guys to rethink what budget actually means to you, and maybe that will help you to view it in a much better way. If you can view it as a fun and helpful tool, naturally it's going to be a much more fun experience to manage your finances. If you're going to view it as a tool that restricts you and doesn't let you enjoy life, then you're gonna be miserable doing it, or you just want to apply the tool and you're not going to reap the benefits from it. So that is one of the first few things I wanted to address. And since we are talking about understanding this, I think I kind of decided maybe I should Google the word budget, right? So when I Googled the word budget, this is what came out: an estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time. It's just an estimate, nothing more. It's just us kind of guessing, okay, this is what I'm going to earn and what I would like to channel the money to. It's just an estimate, nothing more. And that is the first usage of a budget in a way. You're kind of estimating what happens. We have done this since the day we were going to school, and our parents would give us allowances. And you know how let's say you have 5 ringgit, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to use 2 ringgit or 1 ringgit for rehat lunch, and then another 2 ringgit for my lunch before my co-curricular activities. 1 more ringgit I'm gonna put towards stationery. This really cool eraser or pilot shaker pencil is out, so I'm gonna buy that. We used to allocate our money towards different things. That is essentially budget. We were budgeting even before it became a big problem in our lives. So what are the roles and uses of applying budgets, right? What are the benefits of it? It helps you to focus on your goals. So a lot of people will say, oh, it doesn't let me spend on things I like. But the truth is this: before you set a budget, one of the most important things you must do is decide what is your goal. Is your goal to achieve time and money freedom? Is your goal to be able to travel all across the world? Is your goal to be able to own a home or a car or things like that? What is your goal? And based on that, if you do a budget that kind of contributes towards that goal, then technically that budget is not restricting you. But if, let's say, you set a goal for yourself saying, okay, I want to save up enough emergency funds and also be able to retire by the age I am 40 or something like that, right? 50. You have that goal, but when you set your budget, like less than 5% goes towards that goal. Everything else goes towards entertainment, Netflix subscription, all those other things that actually doesn't really matter to so-called your goal. So looking at your goals and understanding this is my goal and this budget is just a tool for me to help me achieve it will help you not find fault on the budget, because the one at fault is actually us, not the budget. So that is one of the usages to help us stay focused on our goals and make progress. So by it is a very important tool to make progress towards our financial goals. What I mean by that is budget actually helps us to set a very important habit, which is spending within our means. If we earn 1,000 ringgit or 2,000 ringgit or even 10,000 ringgit per month, the most important thing you need to do is to not spend above that amount. Always spend within your means, that within the amount you earn, and if possible even lesser than that, and channel some portion of it towards savings and retirement and all of those kind of stuff. So budgeting your money, and what I mean by that is allocating where your money goes, will help you to ensure you do that and not overspend and go above your means. And of course, the other thing is, building savings habit. If you have a budget, it's going to be much more easier to build that habit. The other benefit of budgeting, right? So if you're like me, do let me know in the comments. If you are like me, you would go broke week 3 into the month, right? So I used to do this since the day I started getting my allowances in like high school. Okay, maybe not high school. When I was in college, right? I would get an allowance at the beginning of the month and I'll finish it off by week 3. And the last week I'm just eating very, very minimal amount of food, or just trying not to eat so I can go back home and eat. And that is what I was doing for the most of the time. And that habit kind of followed me to work life as well. So if you're like me, let me know in the comments and I'll let you know how budget helps you to overcome this habit. For me, I personally had to do weekly budget. So I have my monthly budget. I broke it down into weekly portions as well, so that I have a set amount of money that I can allow myself to spend for a week. By doing that, I always was able to make sure there was some amount of money for my expenses at the last week of the month. So it kind of helped me to stop that extremely uncomfortable and horrible feeling of going broke uh, 3 weeks into the month. It is not a nice feeling at all. It is a very stressful state in a way. And by breaking my budget down into a weekly basis, helped me to overcome it. And after you do that for some time, naturally you will learn how to spend in a very regular manner rather than erratic. At the beginning of the month you finish all your money and then there's no money. It kind of slows down and becomes a bit more regular. So when that happens, then you can slowly revert back into a monthly budgeting. So that is the other benefit I saw. And the last benefit that I would like to highlight is this. Our subconscious mind is the one that enforces habit patterns in our lives, right? So if you are somebody who already has a habit pattern, it ensures that it will keep bringing you obstacles or something that will happen to you, so that you will go back into that habit. And for me, everyone has something that has been programmed into us, that we may have done it willingly or we may have done it completely unknowingly, but it is still there and it's still going to be reinforced by our mind. So I personally think budget is a very good tool for us to catch all these habits. So one of the things that I used to do is, if I'm going out to eat, I would always choose an option in the restaurant which is more expensive, like always 20 ringgit and above. This was last time. And I rarely chose options below that. So by doing my budgeting and making sure I'm within that amount or not, and basically when you do budget, you will have to review your finances. When I did that, I found out that I had this weird habit of always going for the more expensive meal compared to my friends. And I feel like this, because I did the review, I was able to catch this habit. If not, I would not have been able to notice it. And a lot of us have different things. There's some of us who say, oh, I don't spend much on entertainment, and every month your entertainment bill is like 100 ringgit plus. So there's always some habits that we ourselves are blind to it. But by doing a budget and reviewing our finances, we'll be able to catch all of these bad habits. So these are some of the benefits I personally saw, and I feel this is why it's a very, very important element with regards to personal finance. If you can have a budget and like follow through it and review it every now and then, you can ensure you're making progress. You will make progress towards the areas that is important to you. So if saving up money for emergency funds is something very important, you will make progress if you are setting some budget and working towards, making sure you stick to it. So these are the benefits I personally have seen. If you guys have any questions so far, do drop it in the comments and I would love to answer them. But if you don't have any questions, I'm going to go into, I think, the most exciting and also the most confusing, in my opinion, which is the different types of budgeting. So if you Google different types of budgeting, you are going to get like millions of results, and there's like countless YouTube videos and countless articles on many different ways you can do budgeting. And it is stressful, to be honest, to read all of these, because they all look the same to me. Okay, not to me right now, but like they all look the same and they sound the same, but you have no idea which one you should choose. They are like, okay, this one applies to this person, and you're like, which one applies to me? So if you were as overwhelmed as I was when I saw this, then I hope to help you break it down. So I'm just going to run through some of the methods that you guys will be able to find if you Google this online, right? So there is the age-old, well-known 50-30-20 rule budgeting, which is 50% of your money goes towards your needs, your house mortgage or rent, or your utilities, your phone bill. These are things that you can't get rid of in a way. Food, groceries, those kind of stuff. And 30, as in 30% goes to your wants. So if you have like subscriptions and things like you would like to spend on, 30% of your funds go for that. And 20% goes towards savings and or debt repayment. So if let's say you have a loan, paying off your loan as well as savings. So this is a very, very well-known method, I guess. Personally, I don't really follow the percentages. So I'm personally somebody who says you need to set your own percentages, but after you set them, then you need to follow your percentages accordingly. So this is a very simple one where you just see, okay, if I'm earning 2K per month, this is how much 1K goes to needs. I forgot what is my percentages after that. 600 goes to wants and 400 goes to savings and loan repayments. So this is a very, very simple budgeting method. There is also the envelope, aka cash only budgeting method. So this is something I cannot comprehend and I do not use at all, which I just feel like it's out of date, to be honest. So what do I mean by that? This method is the one that says, if let's say you have 1000 ringgit to be able to be spent this month, you go and withdraw that money, you open up envelopes and you put in, okay, my budget for groceries is 400, so I'm going to put 400 into envelope number 1, label it groceries. So whenever I want to spend on groceries, I'm going to use this envelope and spend on it. If it finishes, I don't have any additional funds to spend on it. If there's extra, good, basically. So it probably was very applicable when online banking wasn't a thing. But now we rarely go out and exchange cash with anybody. We are all doing touch and go e-wallet and things like that. So I don't think it applies that much. But you can also do this in your in the online world in a way. So it does apply to some extent, I would say, but just the cash part of it, I don't think it applies anymore. Then there is the zero-based budget, which is kind of the ultimate all budgets combined together in a way, I would say, which is give every dollar a job. So if you earn after paying off your EPF and all of that, you get 2,100 something 0.35 cents. Everything up to that 35 cents needs to be allocated to something. So you can allocate, let's say, oh, my rental is this much, my savings is this particular amount. So you have to allocate to different categories up to a point where you reach there is zero balance. So it doesn't mean you spend every penny you earn. It is about allocating the money. So if you want to allocate 30% of your earnings into savings, then you put that as an amount there, and then the balance goes into your respective expenses as well. There is this thing called value-based budget, which is quite I feel like it is a character or trait that needs to be in every budgeting we do. But basically it means you sit down, you put down your values. So what means the world to you? What is the most important things you must have in your life? You put down your values, and then the rest of the month you're just seeing, whenever you spend something, am I contributing to my values or am I not? If I am, I spend on it. If I don't spend on it. That's it. It's very, very simple way of deciding. It works if you're somebody who has funds enough to be able to make mistakes. And even if you make mistakes, you still will have funds to take care of your basic needs in a way. If you are earning in that level, you can look into this. But if you're somebody who's just starting out and you don't have the liberty to be able to do this, then I would suggest not to go for this kind of budgeting method. But I believe that this budgeting trait, it kind of applies to any budgeting we may do. So the other one is also a very, very simple one, which is pay yourself budget, which is the moment you get any income in, 20% goes to your savings or basically yourself, your savings, retirement, whatnot, investments, whatnot. You pay yourself first, and then the balance just goes to whatever expenses you may have. You don't take too much effort determining which expense gets how much. In contrast to zero-based budget, you set like exact amounts for everything. But pay yourself budget is a bit more loose and it's a bit more flexible in a way. So these are some of the budgets that you guys will find out if you Google. If you are like me, you will probably think all of it sounds the same. To be honest, I believe the same. I think all of them are similar, and in fact, the budgeting method that I use kind of implements all of it together. So that is the next thing that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, which is how I do my budget. What does my budget sheet look like? It is very simple, but I kind of implement some of these different budgeting methods into one spreadsheet in a way. So I'm going to be sharing with that with you guys. But before that, I just have another guest speaker who will be featuring for a while to share some of the things that we need to look at with regards to budgeting and keep in mind with regards to budgeting. So I'm going to feature the founder and CEO of Simply Empowering, Miss Joyce Lim, aka my mentor, and she's going to be sharing about some of the things we need to take note with regards to budgeting.
The three things that you need to look at when you are doing budgeting is, number one, to pay yourself first, meaning that put in that element of savings. For those who haven't started, you can start off with something as small as 10 ringgit or 20 ringgit a month. Second is to take care of the non-monthly expenses. Allocate a certain amount every month so that it accumulates and you have the funds to pay things like your car road tax and insurance when it's due, and also your medical checkup fees. Thirdly, I feel is the most important is your focus. For me, the focus is on the savings, meaning that I make sure my savings is growing every month, and somehow my income will grow. All my expenses will be within what I budget for, or sometimes it's lesser. As a reminder, what you focus on grows. So choose wisely what you would like to focus on when you're doing your budgeting. Thank you.
So that was Joyce, and I think those were very, very good tips that you guys need to keep in mind, which is always allocate savings as part of your budgeting, and make sure there's a portion there that says it is for savings. And I like what Joyce said, which is allocate even 10 ringgit is a big deal. So one of the earliest conversation I had with Joyce in my life was basically she told me that it's very important to pay yourself first, and even if it's 10 ringgit set aside. I listened to her advice and it just went in here and came out the other way. And I did not apply this very, very valuable advice at the beginning stages of my career. So even though I had been working for a few years, I pretty much never increased my savings. I think one or two instances where I got a big lump sum income, like my bonuses, I kind of put that towards savings, but that was it. Other than that, I did not really have any monthly savings coming in, which is a wasted opportunity for the amount of years I was doing. If I had just saved some portion of money with compound interest, it would be a higher amount right now, but I missed that opportunity. So it's very, very important to set aside savings in our budget. And also, of course, the very, very important thing that she pointed out, the second point, which is yearly expenses. So there are expenses that happens ad hoc, things which we can anticipate, such as things like road tax and insurance, your medical checkup. These are things you can anticipate, you know when they're up for renewal. But there's also things that you may not anticipate, like your car battery dying and you would need to change it. You cannot say wait until next month, or if you do, then you have to figure out another way for your transportation. So for expected and unexpected yearly expenses, we would also allocate some funds for something I call sinking funds, right? And then the third category is, of course, focus on what you want. So earlier we had some of my friends who were sharing their opinions on budgets and all of that. If you are someone who did not have a nice perception in a way, or someone who's scared of it, right? It is probably because your focus when it comes to budgeting is not increasing your savings or increasing your income or working towards your financial goals. Your focus has now shifted to expenses, and whether your expenses are high or low or within or not within, it has gone into that. So if you are somebody who is struggling with this, just try to change your focus to, am I making progress towards my financial goals? If yes, get excited about it. If no, find solutions to start making that progress. And raising your income. If you feel your budget is so restrictive that you cannot do what you want to do, raise your income. I think that is one of the most important areas you can focus on. So what Joyce said is so very important, and they may seem like very simple and negligible advice, but please guys, don't make the mistake I did by by not applying. Just pick one of the advices that she gave and apply them, and you will see a lot of changes happen in terms of finances. So I'm going to quickly run through my budgeting template. It's very simple. Anybody who has Google Sheets or Excel, you can do this. Or if you have a notebook, you can just draw some lines and do this. I'm just going to show you guys what do I have in my budgeting template, right? So I personally use Google Sheet because I just like accessing my documents in my phone as well as my laptop. And I just did up a very simple budget. This is so not my current reality. My proportions are much different. But I just thought, okay, if I have 2,000 income and I live with my parents and I just drive a car, what are the things I would want to allocate my money towards? So you can separate your categories into, the 50-30-20 category comes into play a little bit here, which is like savings and investments is one of the categories. Regular expenses like your monthly ones is important, but I think it's also important to set aside some funds on a monthly basis towards sinking funds, which is all the other yearly expenses or unexpected expenses that may come up. So in terms of savings, the first goal I would say is, even before you start thinking about investing, the most important thing to have is your emergency fund sorted out. So if you are somebody who's starting out work, I think that is the first area you'll be focusing on. So for this particular imaginary person, I put 150 ringgit towards emergency funds and then another 400 ringgit towards their car loan. My car loan was pretty much double or double this amount. So this is so not my reality. Telephone bill, I think that is a need. There's no longer a want, it's a need right now in our age. Food, it's 20 ringgit budget per day. So how to come up with these figures? I think telephone bill is very fixed, right? If you go for a plan, that's your budget. But food is something you can play along with. So it depends on how often you're eating out, or whether if you have to pay for groceries, that's another thing you need to look into. For this particular budget, I did very simple, which is 20 ringgit per day for 30 days. And this is in the assumption that this person only eats probably breakfast and lunch outside and is having dinner at home that is cooked by their family and they don't need to pay for groceries, right? And then subscriptions, I put a very high amount here because nowadays I barely see anyone who only has one subscription. There is always people with Spotify, Netflix, and I know Disney Plus is coming out, so there's no way we can keep it below 100. So that is another thing. If you're driving around crazy like me, if you're driving to office, it's just very short distance and you don't pass by any toll, it's not going to take up so much of your money. But if you were like me, it was required for my job to drive around to a lot of different places, and I had to put in money for these things. So my fuel toll parking was actually much higher than what is in this budget right now. So you need to see your life, what are the things you spend on a day-to-day basis, and estimate, okay, in a week I kind of spend this amount, so times 4 I will spend approximately this amount per month. And for sinking funds, if you see, I put just a random figure of 150. Why I'm showing this is because it is just an estimate. I'm just showing you guys the template as to how it looks like. So if you want an access to this template, I'm going to leave the link to this particular demo sheet in the comments, so that you guys can download it and just check it out and use it as per your need. But the truth is, you need to look at your own life and see what are the areas. So I had a friend, one of the people I work with, right? He was telling me that he spends a lot of he works pretty much, his girlfriend and him, they work in the same job, so they do pretty much the same things on a day-to-day basis, right? So he was saying how she spends like 300 or 400 per month in food, and his expenses was always 500 or 600, but they would go to the same restaurants and they would do all the same things. And he said, I need to reduce my expenditure to 300, because if she can do it, I can definitely do it. At the beginning, this seems like, okay, it's a very important thing, he needs to reduce his expenses, but it is, in my opinion, it is unnecessary pressure. You need to look at yourself, and if your way of spending is spending more on food and lesser on other things, just go for it. You don't need to satisfy anyone's expectations, or you don't need to live up to a certain standard. There's no need for these kind of things. Budget is very, very personal. You need to look at what is important to you and set aside. So if you tell me your priority is to be able to retire early, or if your priority is to be able to have security so that you don't have to worry about money so much, but you barely allocate any funds towards investments and savings, then it kind of clashes with your priority. So it is a very good tool for us to see whether we are putting money towards what we say our goals are. So do check out the demo sheet link if you would like to get started. And I know a lot of people, even in the video, right, there's one particular person said it takes a lot of time, so I'm too lazy to do it. You may be also one of those people who feel that. If you are already tracking in your mobile phone on a day-to-day basis, doing this process is very fast, very easy. And all you have to do is just take those figures from that app, plug it into your respective categories, and then you know whether you are within budget or outside budget. Most times for me, it takes less than 5 minutes to do this. But if you are somebody who never tracks, then this is going to be a very tedious process, and probably have to do a lot of guessing work, which I don't recommend. So do check out the tracking episode that I did if you guys would like to find out more how you can track your finances a bit more better. So that helps you to budget and ensure you stick to your budget in a much more effective way. So that is me, guys. I hope that what I shared with regards to budgeting, I hope I was able to break some perceptions that you may have about it. It's not a scary tool. It is our perceptions that determine how this tool plays a role in our lives. So if you can change your perception, it is going to be a much more exciting process. And I hope I was able to assist you to make some kind of changes in terms of that. And you can join us for our future Money Matters episodes. I think in terms of financial, right, personal finance or anything really, there is no such thing as overnight changes. Watching this one episode is not going to make you a financial whiz, a guru who's going to be able to do everything. To be honest, that is not possible. So it is very important for us to just spend some amount of our time on a weekly basis to make progress towards our financial goals or learn something new about money. And that is what I hope to provide with regards to Money Matters, a place for you guys to just spend half an hour to 45 minutes in a week to learn about money, expand your knowledge and experiences in that area. So do join me for our Money Matters episodes. Each of these episodes will be covering different areas. If you have any suggestions for topics, do drop it in the comments so that I can prepare a session that relates to you guys and is more relevant for you guys as well. So next week we have a very, very exciting topic which I'm super excited about, which is taxation. So when I was having a chat with our guest speaker, Mr. Krishnan from the NK Associates firm, he was sharing about how tax is or could be a form of investment. And I was so mind blown by what he said. And I actually had to ask him a few times as to what he means by that. So if you are curious like me, if you have always thought taxation is a pain and why do I have to do it, it is such a waste of my money, or if you feel any of these things, I urge you to join our session next week, which is on the 23rd of May, Sunday, 3 p.m., same time. And we'll be going live on these pages once again. So do join us, and I'm going to drop the RSVP link in the comments so that you can get a personalized reminder on WhatsApp. So do join us. It's going to be definitely an exciting episode. I'm super duper excited for this. And personally, if you guys would like to continue getting updates about the programs, the shows that I do or other talks that I'm doing, follow me on my social media, Facebook, The Real Madhura, Instagram, The Real Madhura as well, or my website, madhurak.com. Truly, truly appreciate all of you tuning in today. Hope to see you guys in next week's Money Matters. Hope you guys have a good Sunday. And once again, happy Teachers Day to all of you who are watching if you are a teacher. And don't forget to wish your teachers, guys. Have a good day. See you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching, and please do like and subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Do share this episode with your friends and family. And if you like this episode, leave us a review on our Facebook page, facebook.com/simplyempowering. Money Matters is where we aim to provide valuable content to inspire and empower you on your money matters. Thank you once again for watching this episode, and see you guys at the next one.